Yo, it's your boy Hunty back with another video. This time we are dipping into the PvE world. Okay, so today we are going to be doing a PvE tank, but I'm going to be giving you two setups, one for trash, one for boss. Now there's a reason for this, is because I recently just moved into a bit of PvE land. It's quite enjoyable, the trifectas, all that sort of stuff. It's a great new challenge and I'm really enjoying it. And I've bumped into a great bunch of people that have got the patience and the time to teach me a lot of the mechanics and my role as a tank. And these players are some of the top tier players in the game, so I'm kind of blessed in that perspective. But this being said, it is very difficult to find the information I've been told from said players on YouTube. Okay, so we have content creators, I'm not going to name them, that are widely out there that people know about, but their builds are very basic and don't really explain your role as a tank and how you can provide more than just taunting and standing there perma blocking. Okay, so today I'm going to give you a trash setup, I'm going to give you a boss setup, and I'm going to just explain why I'm running them things, and also just to emphasize the fact as a tank, your purpose is not just to taunt and just make yourself really tanky and just stay alive. Your job as a tank is actually a lot of crowd control and trying to bring as much as possible in the way as debuffs and buffs to your team as possible. Okay, that's your job as a tank. It's not just to turn up and taunt. Okay, so today we're going to go into the builds, and straight away we're going to go straight into the trash setup. Okay, now it's very important that you have a trash setup and that you have a boss setup, because like I've said, said creators that have got builds out there at the moment, they just give you one build that can do it all but does none of them very well. You know, you can get in there, you can taunt and you'll stay alive, and that's about it. But that's not what it's about, okay? Like I've said before, it's about bringing as much as possible to the team. Okay, so straight away we're going to go to the trash setup. Let's go into it. So my trash setup off the rip is going to be 2-piece Nunatech. Okay, this is going to give us 1-piece armor, and then on dealing frost damage, which we are using, you create a 6-meter area under the target for 6 seconds, dealing frost damage to enemies for every 1 second, applying a 40% snare for 4 seconds. But that isn't the reason we've got this. Enemies damaged 4 times become immobilized and afflicted with major brittle for 4 seconds, causing the targets to take 20% increased critical damage. And this effect can happen every 15 seconds. Okay, so this is a major debuff just for casting one of our abilities that we're going to be casting anyway. Okay, and also the ability we're casting has a chance to cast to do minor brittle. So on one cast we got the opportunity to do minor and major brittle. Okay, this is going to give a lot more damage to our DPS, which is then going to burn these packets of adds quicker, therefore less stress for you as a tank, and we just move quicker. Okay, our other 5-piece is going to be Turning Tide. Turning Tide is going to give us a health, max stamina, max health. When you block, you gain flowing of water for 10 seconds, causing your next bash attack to deal said amount of damage up to 6 enemies in a 5 by 10 meter line. So this is like a conal effect straight from you, and it just pushes it like a wave that literally just goes out from your feet and just hits everything in front of you. Basically, it very rarely misses. But again, this will apply major vulnerability for 10 seconds. Again, another debuff to the trash. Okay, and this will increase the damage taken by 10%. So straight away, what we're doing is we're providing major brittle, minor brittle, and major vulnerability straight away to a set of trash. Your DPS are going to have a field day absolutely burning this stuff once you've debuffed them. Okay, so we're running Turning Tide. The next set we're running after that is Powerful Assault. Now this is a set that is flexible because you'll find a lot of healers, if it is something that requires a healer, will be running PA with MA, Master Architect with Powerful Assault, okay, or various other different combinations. But again, this is something where you and the healer and the DPS all have to talk about what you're bringing to the group, so you can all slot in like a beautiful little jigsaw puzzle and make sure you're all providing as much as possible. It's not just tank that needs this perspective, even the healers. They also need the same perspective. Maybe we'll put out a healer build at some point and help the healers out there. But right now, still focusing on the tank. So for trash, I'm running PA, just mainly because I can have a very good uptime on this. You know, on the first into combat, I'm debuffing him. I pop a vigor as I'm going in, and as I've procced combat, I pop a vigor. I buff the DPSs and everyone, and they can just pretty much go in and just do their thing. So it's nice and smooth, nice and quick. So again, Powerful Assault, it's going to give everyone basically 300 weapon and spell damage, and it's just going to buff them so they do a lot more damage. So here we've got 2 debuff sets already and a buff set for our DPSs. Then we go into the weapons. Okay, front bar for trash, we are using the Vatashran. Now this is no secret to a lot of tanks. Okay, this is a fantastic set for trash setups. It's going to give us 1 piece max health. When you deal damage with a power bash, you apply Call of the Void to yourself for 2 seconds. Enemies within 12 meters are immediately pulled to you. Okay, after Call of Void ends, you apply Major Maim. All enemies in the area to 10 seconds, reducing their damage done by 10%. Okay, so this is mainly used as a grouping control ability, and it's fantastic. You literally go in there, cast your blockade, you debuff them, then you do a power bash, and all the enemies just get pulled in straight on the spot, and you just taunt them, keep them there, and you'll find if you're doing your job role correctly and the DPSs are not fake DPSs, then the trash pack will be dead pretty much, pretty quick. So on trash pulls, Vatashran, sword and board is 100% a must. If you're not, you're pretty much trolling, and you're going to find it a lot difficult to get everything grouped up and keep everything nice and tidy. Okay. Back bar, we actually should be running Powerful Assault here. This should be a PA weapon, so we can proc our Powerful Assault on our back bar, because it's on the back bar only. So this will actually be a PA staff, not a Master Architect staff. I have no idea why it's not swapped over, but yeah. So this will be a Powerful Assault staff. I believe it will be in here somewhere. Bear with me, I've just moved to mouse and keyboard, so I am still learning the UI. The UI is very confusing to me right now. So running Powerful Assault on the back bar, because as we're running in, we're doing a blockade, we're doing a vigor, we're getting the debuffs, and we're buffing, and then we get straight on the front bar, pull everything in, nice and easy. Yeah. Okay. So trash setup, nice and simple. Okay. None attack, turning tide, PA. And there is other setups, but this is the one that works for me, and it is very good. Okay, so let's move on from that and let's go into the skills, which I believe is this button. Yeah, hey, we're getting there. Oh wait, we can just do it from the screen actually. Yeah, let's go. So let's move to the front bar. So the front bar, we are running piercing armor. Okay, this is going to be our stamina taunt, close taunt. And also, again, another debuff. It's going to inflict minor breach and major breach on enemies, reducing their physical and spell resistance by basically, you know, I think it's like 9.2k in total. So it does a lot for you as a taunt. It debuffs the enemy quite substantially. Then we got Igneous Shield. Okay, this is going to be basically a shield, and it's going to be mainly used as a sustain tool to basically just help you to get that stamina regen back if you're forced to block for quite a period of time if your DPSs are quite slow or you're up against something in a very long fight. Okay, we're going to use Igneous Shield just to rotate some magicka into stamina through the passive in the skill tree. Then we've got Coagulating Blood. This is going to be our burst heal, but we very, very rarely need this. It's only really if, you get hit really, really hard unexpectedly, like while you're not holding block or something like that, and you just use this. But this is an ability. This is not your go-to heal if you're just losing health, okay, because this is very, very expensive. Reverberating Bash, okay, this is what's going to be our proc, which is the power bash for the Vatashran. Once we cast this is the thing that's going to bring all the ads into one spot and make it nice and easy. Then we have Razor Caltrops. Okay, and then this is basically, again, another snare, a damage over time, and enemies that take the Caltrops apply major breach, reducing their physical and spell resistance. So this is an AoE breach. This is why it's fantastic for trash, because I'm not going to be able to walk around and just go PS armor, PS armor, PS armor, PS armor. It's not going to happen. For one, I'm going to have no sustain left. Two, it's probably going to be dead by the time you finish doing that. Okay, so what we do is we run in, we cast Blockade, we do our Vigor, we throw our Caltrops. Okay, they're going to be snared. Then we cast our Power Bash, bring them in. They're fully debuffed. We're living the dream. DPSs burn. Front bar ultimate, we're using Temporal Guard. Okay, this is pretty much a no-brainer. Well slotted, you get minor protection, reducing your damage taken by 5%. Nice and easy. Back bar, we're using Unrelenting Grip. This is going to be our chains. Okay, chains is pretty much a must. We do have the Vatashran sword and board, but sometimes it does fail, or if enemies are out of range from the proc, or just a little bit stubborn. Relenting Grip, you just pull them in, thump, 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 pull them in, straight in, bosh. And just get them burnt as quickly as possible. Okay, one thing to know about this, and I don't really see any information on it, Relenting Grip will not refresh your taunt. It will taunt for you, but you have to wait for the taunt to fall off before Unrelenting Grip will refresh the taunt. Okay, it will not refresh the taunt. Okay, then we've got Blockade of Frost. Like I say, this is going to be an ability we cast as we're going into combat and constantly keeping 100% uptime. It's going to be proccing Crusher, that's on our back bar, which I did forget to go over the enchants, but you know, a lot of that's self-explanatory on the enchants are pretty much self-explanatory on every single tank build. Crusher, all that sort of good stuff, debuffing the enemy. But like I say, we're using this to proc our Nunatek, and also, again, doing the minor afflicted with enemies that are afflicted with minor breach, and their movement speed is reduced by 40%. Okay, so again, just another debuff tool and something that you want to keep up all the time. Resolving Vigor. Resolving Vigor is going to be our heal over time. Also gives us minor resolve, so it's going to be a resistance buff also. This is the heal that you pretty much want to go to if you need a heal. But again, if you're running low on stam, use Coagulating Blood. If you're running low on magicka, use your Vigor. Okay? But honestly, you want to try and always use your Resolving Vigor and only use your magicka to recycle stamina. Okay? To recycle it for stamina. Then we got Race Against Time. This is going to allow us to basically move from trash pack to trash pack really, really quick. Movement is key, especially if you've got DPSs that are relying on proc stacks that they've earned off one of the trash packs that you've just done. They've got their stacks, and what they need to do is they need to get into the next fight really quick before they lose that proc or lose their stacks of whatever set they're using to be optimal on the DPS. So what you'll do is you'll finish as the last adder's about to die. You'll race against time. You'll get just in front of them, pull everything in, get the debuffs in as quickly as possible, and then your DPSs can come in and just absolutely blast away. Living the dream. Then we got Hardened Armor. This is going to provide us a shield. but this is mainly here for the major resolve, which is going to be our our big source of physical and spell resistance, yeah, basically just going to allow us to be tankier. Now the back bar ultimate here is kind of just an oh shit ultimate, because we never want to use an ultimate in trash pack, okay, unless it's for a particular trash pack, like in certain trials where it does require an ulti dump because it's a challenging pull. But in predominantly most spaces, you don't, as a tank, want to be popping, especially in 4-man content, trifecta runs. You don't want to be dropping your ultimates in trash packs. But I have Magma Shell here just in case, for some reason, I did a doo-doo. I've gone too far forward on my DPSs and I've pulled in, and for whatever reason, I've done a doo-doo. I very, 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 very rarely have to use this ultimate. Very rarely. But it's there just in case. Okay? So that is the skills. Now, champion points. Let's go into the champion point tree. Here, I need to slot some. So I think if some of you have already seen, I'm only CP 841. I've been tanking pretty much from CP 300, and been doing pretty much trying to attempt hard modes and stuff like that. So my experience is pretty vast now. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so green tree is just going to be predominantly mainly speed buffs. So we're going to use the speed out of combat, and we're going to use the increased mount speed. Really what you want to do is get the increased duration on your food. And basically, like, the green tree is pretty much, like, it's up to you really. But this one is one of the big ones because you want to move fast from trash pack to trash pack. Then we go into the blue tree. Right now, I'm using Ironclad, okay, which is going to give us direct damage reduction. Then I'm using Duelist Rebuff, again, direct. It's going to be single target damage reduction. Then we're going to have Enduring Resolve, which reduces our damage taken from damage over time per stage. And then obviously I'm still gaining CP. So right now I'm using Endless Resolve as I'm earning CP. But what I will be doing is I'll be using Unassailable, which will reduce my damage from area effect abilities. So these will then make me just like basically really tanky from all sources of damage. Also big ones to have: Preparation, huge, and then Hardy, and make sure you've got Elemental Aegis as well, because they're pretty huge. I've just gone off the tree, sorry, UI idiot. But again, this can be changed depending on what fight you're in. If you need, you know, something else from the fight, you can always swap it out. But I would say these are your base, you know, your base CP for you to be able to complete anything basically. Then we'll move on to the red tree. Now the red tree, we always pretty much, whether you're a DPS, whether you're a healer, whether you're a tank, you're always going to be selecting these top three: Rejuvenation, Fortified, Boundless Vitality. Okay, they're pretty much going to be your generic three ones you're always going to use, because it's just they're the three CP trees that are going to provide you the most in this red tree. Okay, so we're using them three. Then we're going to make sure we're taking, you know, the break free reduction, and we're going to take tumbling for the dodge roll. We're going to get the max health, and then after that, you really want to be getting celerity to be getting the movement speed. Again, like I said, movement is key, so celerity is definitely a must also. But it is also your flex. It is also your flex if you want something else to get cheaper damage shields. You know, if you want anything unique, if you want slippery, because it's something that you know, there is 4-man content where you get CC'd as a tank and you need to insta break. Okay, you can use something like Slippery to do that for you, and then you obviously don't die, you stay alive. You've got Hardened, which, you know, increases the duration of crowd control immunity. You know, there's cool little niche things that you might need, but you're gonna need celerity more times than you're not. Okay, so these are your base CP trees. CP points. Here, I'm definitely going to be putting celerity, but right now, again, I'm still earning CP, so I'm just sort of, you know, putting them in where I can. Okay, so that's the CP tree. That is pretty much all you need to know about the trash setup. And we're going to go straight on to the boss setup now, because this is going to be a long video and I don't want it to be too drawn out. Okay? So, moving on to the boss setup there. We are now on the boss setup. And the boss setup is predominantly for crowd control and single target. But again, this will be adjusted depending on what fight you're in. Whether you might need chains, whether you might need this, that. You know, it all depends on what you need for that fight. Okay? So let's go straight into the gear. Gear, we are looking at two-piece tremor scale. Okay, tremor scale is going to give us a debuff to the boss, reducing their armor by 1978 for 15 seconds. This again is going to give your damage dealers more penetration and allow them to do more damage. So this is a really good damage buff skill. And it's just the most you can sort of bring in 4-man content and trifecta runs to help your DPS pump more damage. You don't need the survivability on a tank once you've learned how to tank. You don't need to be running Lord Wardens or any type of monster set that's going to keep you alive. You can run something that's going to help your DPS. Okay, on the body we're using Saxiel. Okay, this again is going to be a buff to our DPS. So the 5th piece, when you use an ultimate ability while in combat, you and 11 group members within 28 meters will gain major force for 1 second per 15 ultimate spent, increasing your critical damage done by 20%. Okay, this is a huge damage buff for your DPSs. They're going to get a massive increase, and this combines with our Warhorn that will proc this, and with the second 5 piece that we're running, we're just going to be buffing our DPSs through the roof just off pressing one ability. Okay, so that we're running the Saxiel. Then we're running Master Architect, okay, on the back bar. Now you want to be running War Machine, but I've been grinding. I've had a lot to grind since I've moved to NA. And basically I got Master Architect before I got War Machine, so that's what I'm using. But ideally you want to use War Machine. But the only difference is that I get 1-piece max magicka here, the 2-piece max magicka. Instead, War Machine would give me the 2-piece max stamina. But it doesn't really matter too much, honestly. They both work. They both give you the buff that we've got this set on for, so it's not really that much of an issue. So the 5-piece on this one, when you use an ultimate ability while in combat, the closest 5 group members within 28 meters gain a major slayer for 1 second per 10 ultimate spent, increasing their damage done to dungeon, trial and arena monsters by 10%. Okay, so another 5-piece that buffs our DPS through the roof off casting an ultimate while in combat. Okay, so we got these two are going to synergize very, very nicely. Then on our front bar, we are running the Master's Sword and Shield. Okay, the reason we're running this is because it allows you to be a bit more flexible with your resistances. Because as when you cast Puncture, you will heal for a little bit, but also gain spell and physical resistance equal to the amount of the healing or over healing done for 5 seconds. This scales off your max health. Okay, so this will give you a big chunk. I think I get something like 4k resistances off just casting Puncture. This puts me right just a little bit over the cap. And yeah, it just allows you to invest your traits or your gears somewhere else, and you'll get resistances from the Master Sword and Board. Okay, this is really good for boss fights, just keeping you tanky as well as providing as much as possible. Then on the back wall, we're just running Master Architect, because we will be proccing this on our back bar. The ultimate we will be using to proc this will be on our back bar. Okay, so it just all works nicely and synergizes really nicely. Okay, I did forget to mention that it is a must on your back bar ice staffs that it is infused, and that you have the Crusher enchantment, which reduces the target's physical and spell resistance by 2108 for 5 seconds. Okay, this is a must on every single tank. It default, do not change it. That is how it is. Infused, Crusher, never let it be any different. Okay. So, that is the gear of the tank setup. Let's move into the skills. Okay, skills. We are running Puncture. We all know what Puncture does. We are running Igneous Shield. We all know what Igneous Shield does. Coagulating Blood. We know what our Coagulating Blood's for. Defensive Stance. Okay, this is a different ability that we don't have on our Trash setup, which we swap out Power Bash. And this is, again, going to allow us to tank harder shots, bigger shots from these bosses that have huge single target damage. And what's going to happen is not only if you cast this, you will get a damage shield. It scales off your max health. You also reflect the next harmful direct damage ability casted at you. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I never cast this ability. And I mean never cast this ability. But there might be a scenario where you're taking a lot of range damage from maybe multiple adds, and you can cast it. But to be honest with you, I never cast this ability. This is here for the next part, which is while you have a shield equipped, the amount of damage you can block is increased by 10%, and the reduced cost of blocking is reduced by 10%. So you can block 10% more, and it's 10% reduced just for having this ability on our bar. So it provides us a huge amount just for having it slotted. I highly recommend this on your boss setups, just because a lot of bosses, especially in the newer content, have like really big single target hits, and you want to stay as healthy as possible. Okay, so this is going to help you with that. Okay, next ability is going to be Revealing Flare, another ability that we will never ever cast, but it is here. Because it provides us major protection while it's slotted on our bar, reducing your damage taken by 10%. Okay, so this is just going to give us overall 10% damage reduction from all sources all the time while on this bar. Okay, it's pretty huge, pretty massive, and it also goes alongside our front bar ultimate temporal guard again, which is going to give us all minor protection, reducing our damage taken by 5%. Now you can start seeing, ladies and gents, now you can start seeing how our skills can provide our tank ability, and we don't have to be running our fortified brass and some tanky sets and healing. We don't need to, because we have the skills to do that. Okay, we have access to tanking skills, therefore we can provide more on our gear. Let's move to the back bar. We are running Frost Clench. This is going to be our range taunt, which can be refreshed on cast. And it also is going to be an Immobilize. It also can cause Major Maim for 5 seconds, which is very good for boss fights, because if you're keeping this up, you are not only, of course, keeping them taunted, you are making them hit less damage, okay, because you're giving them Major Maim, which is reducing their damage done by 10%. So this is going to help you absorb more damage from these big guys that are hitting big damage. Okay, so Frost Clench for me, if it's a boss that walks to you and there's not many adds, I'll use this. But if you're running something that has a lot of trash in the boss fight, swap this out for chains and keep the trash pulled in with the boss so it can get burnt at the same time. But again, situational. Know your role as a tank. Know your role in that fight and adjust accordingly. Blockade of Frost. Okay, Blockade of Frost is going to be, again, like it is in the trash fight. It's going to be our way of minor breach. Movement speed reducing, but it's there for the damage shield and proccing that Crusher enchantment predominantly in the boss fights. The minor breach we are getting from our taunts anyway, so we are just using this mainly to just keep Crusher up as much as possible. Okay, 100% time on that Crusher, that's what you want. Push it. Okay, Resolving Vigor, we all know why that's there. Overflowing Altar. Okay, this is our flex spot. We can put, Purge. We can put, if you need Race Against Time in a boss fight because you need to go from totem to totem, or, there's something that you need to do. This Overflowing Altar is definitely the flex spot. You can use Ash Cloud here for a selfish heal to just put on yourself. It basically costs you nothing. But Overflowing Altar, I like to have when I'm running like a 3DD content, all that sort of good stuff. Then we got hardened armor. This is going to get our resistance buff. Then our back bar ultimate is going to be aggressive warhorn. This is going to be the ability that we cast. It's going to grant major force. Then we got minor force from our set, and then we got the buff from Saxiel also. So casting this warhorn is going to give us so much damage, it's unbelievable. Okay, moving on from the ultimate then, we know why we've got the skills we've got. I haven't actually mentioned anything about the consumables. So I am using tripods. Okay, these are a must: health, magic and stamina on both setups. And then I'm using smoked bear hunch as my food. Because smoked bear hunch is going to give me the most here. It's going to give me basically the most I need. I need the recoveries in both Magicka and Stamina. Magicka is equally, if not more important than having the Stamina, because it's going to, one, help us keep our debuffs up, keep our buffs up, and also help us recycle into the Stamina pool. Okay, so having that high stamina regen is really good. Magicka regen is really good, and I also didn't mention that what Mundus I was using. So I'm using the Atro on both builds. Again, just pushing that maximum Magicka. CP tree is identical. It's exactly the same. So I don't really need to cover that anymore. And I think pretty much that's all I need to go over. If there's anything I've missed, or any PvEs that are watching this that are like ninjas, feel free to comment below. I'm willing to take advice. I'm certainly not the best tank out there, and I'm definitely learning. As you can see, I've not done all the hardest content yet. I'm working through some trifectas. I've been playing PvE tank for just over a month. And I'm quite happy with the progression that I've had so far. And actually, most of the time, we haven't been able to achieve something isn't actually from my tanking ability. It's just the fact that I haven't known the mechs because I haven't learned them. Yeah, I haven't put the grind in. So, yeah, I feel like this is a bit of a different build video, but this is basically the ultimate tank guide when it comes to what you should know as a tank. Trash, this is what you should bring. Boss, this is what you should bring. It will vary. Raid leaders, group leaders will ask you for other types of gear sets. Do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have this debuff? Do you have that debuff? Okay, take it on board. Don't get salty. Don't go, no, this is my build. That's not how it works, okay? We all work together. We all try and fit together as a jigsaw puzzle, and we try and put this jigsaw puzzle together as nicely as possible and try and make the job nice and clean and nice and easy, okay? Because trifecta runs are difficult enough as they are, okay? The last thing you need to be doing is, you know, fighting against other players in the group about, you know, people using the same buff and this, that, and the other, and bringing basically nothing to the group. Well, thank you very much. If you enjoyed this video, please comment below. If you want to see more PvE stuff, because I am doing predominantly more PvE right now, because it's very enjoyable and it's a great challenge. Comment below. Please like the video, and any advice, whack it down below. Whack it down below. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good day.